Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. I am back today, and by popular demand, apparently. It's good to be back. And of course, we've got lots to talk about. As always, we're going to have to continue to talk about the aftermath of The Penguin. That show just continues to amaze me at like how despicable they just made the Penguin look, and in all the ways that the character is supposed to be. And yet, there's always the part of you that wonders, like, okay, maybe they're gonna like not go there. And there's like several moments in the finale of the show where I'm like, "Oh, God." And then, it's just one of those moments where like with the suit and everything and the top hat sitting off to the side. So, I know John talked about a lot of that yesterday, but I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts. I love the show. I love, the fact that Sophia survived and there's more to come there, especially with Miss Lena Kyle. That would be so interesting. I've been wanting that from the very beginning of the show. I was like, aren't they related? I mean, they're like half sisters. So yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got to talk about that. Of course, we know the Penguin is not just going to be streaming in the months and years to come. This you can also get a hold of it in the physical copy. So we're going to get into that as well. We, of course, then have to talk about Rhenzy Feliz, the actor behind Vic, who totally got done dirty in the show, but that means he's now freed up to potentially join the new DCU with James Gunn. Is that possible? And what characters would he potentially want to take on or would be a good fit for? Let's talk about that and so much more, of course, to do that. And even beyond that, I'm sure we're going to get into your comments and then all the fan theories. And to me, it's good to have John along for the ride. How are you doing today, John?
I'm good. I have a bag of candy next to me, so I'm really good. I haven't eaten any real food today, but I've had candy. Um, Not on the track of me trying to lose weight, but it's post Halloween. We discounted candy. Like, come on, like you gotta take advantage of that. It's like $5 for like a huge bag. Like, what am I
I
not
mean,
gonna do? Like, come on, it's just staring at me right there. Like,
I don't blame you. I mean, I keep buying candy. I bought like a Kit Kat bar and a Hershey bar today because I was just having like a
um,
sugar
although
craze.
I will say fucking the shrinkflation is just crazy. Remember when these were like 2 bars and you could actually snap them in half? Or how like the Hershey bar, you had the little tiny four and you could snap all those, and then like looking at the miniature pumpkins, it's just like, man, this shrinkflation is crazy. Fuck those guys. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, make our gas like more expensive, but like keep the candy the same size. Like that's like we need to find joy in something now. Now, like poor Gen Alpha is gonna think this is what like Halloween candy should be. It's like, no, I was there 9,000 years ago. I was there when the strength of men fell. All right, sorry, side rant, but like I'm angry.
Well, I just
Let's get
don't
into the
do
penguin.
small can. I've got some like bags of small candy, but like I'm like I need a full bar. I mean, I need an adult sized bar of candy if I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. So,
Because remember,
um,
king sized is fun sized.
exactly, exactly. But hey, we got lots to get into today as always. I know yesterday you did a whole review on the Penguin, and the Penguin is
Yes.
just like I'm still like jaw was on the floor. Like I was seeing headlines of things like pick your jaw up off the floor. The Penguin finale was just that good, like stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's probably the best thing DC has ever done. It's certainly the best comic book show of the year by far. I don't think there's anything that got even close to that. And it's gonna get Emmy nominees and Golden Globe nominees. I'm sure both Kristen Milioti and Colin Farrell, as well as hopefully Lauren LeFranc for like writing an amazing series. They're all going to get recognition for this, and I can't wait to see what how that goes. But we do have to get into some other stuff. I know that yesterday you talked about this briefly that there was a report that Creature Commandos will premiere with a 2 episode opening on Max, and of course today James Gunn confirmed it. He said this is absolutely true. Creature Commandos will indeed debut with 2 delightfully monsters episodes on December 5th. And I mean, today we're doing this on November 12th, John. We're literally weeks away from this. What are your thoughts on the fact that, again, James Gunn has now confirmed it, so we know for sure that it's going to be a 2 episode premiere. It's also, there's only like, what, 8 episodes of this? So that means we're only really going to have the show on the air for like 2 months, right? It's kind of like the Penguin in a way, except the Penguin only did a 1 episode premiere.
Well, I think James Gunn recently did confirm this, didn't he? I thought he said on his threads that he confirmed that it's going to be 2 episodes. Could have
No, he
sworn
did.
that I
That's
saw.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay. I thought you said didn't. Okay.
no, he did.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Yeah. I thought you said didn't. Maybe you did. Maybe I'm just like, again, I have this candy next to me. It's very distracting. I apologize. And I was also looking at the comments. Hunter Iggy left a weird ass comment. So I was like, what? I was like, kind of seeing what everyone was saying. Hi, Temple, Derpy. No, Derpy, you're not getting my candy. Manolo, Game City. All you guys. Hello. Welcome. But yeah, I think yeah, that's kind of fun. Like I also thank you to the person that corrected me. For some reason, I kept thinking that Creature Commandos was 8 episodes. I think I was thinking of Peacemaker because Peacemaker is going to be 8 episodes. So the first two are going to be on the December 5th, and then it's going to go until January 9th, straight through. No breaks for like Boxing Day or anything like that.
yeah.
So boom, straight through, get it all done and over with. So I think yeah, this is definitely, exciting and good that James Gunn confirms it. He loves to confirm, loves to deny, loves to, bob and weave rumors and be like, true, not true. As my friend said, it's his favorite pastime. Um, but Creature Commandos exciting, and now that James Gunn is confirming it, always a good thing. But yeah, I'm just excited. In less than a month. Less than a month. In about 23 days. I think, yeah, it's like should be, yeah, I think that's what it is. Or like 21
Uh,
days. I don't know the right. It's
no,
it's 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 a month minus a week. That's what it is. I
otherwise
I don't know
Hunter
the
completely
month
blew up the
month
chat.
dates are awkward for me, but yeah, it's good. It's great. And
Yeah.
yeah, I have my reservations and flaws about it, but it still looks like a good show and I like what they're doing.
I mean, Temple is like, there's only 26-minute long episodes and it sort of burns him out. I mean, you know what? Here's the thing though. It's an animated series, right? How many animated shows do you know that actually run for like a full hour per episode? I feel like because the
He
pacing is
said Invincible. Invincible does it for like
right.
45
Well,
to
but
50
that
minutes.
you know what? But that's an exception to the rule because
And
like
look how that turned out. They had to like have like a year between the first half of season 2, season 3, and the second half of season 2. So they had to
yeah.
put in a full year and they were pumping out stuff. They had to release everything. Yeah, but it was like a full year for us to wait for the next. And I still even haven't watched it yet. So, I mean, that's on me, but it goes to show like 26 episodes, especially with animation is not very well respected. There's a lot of budget to put into like animation like this. So they probably want to, skirt by, give it 26 minutes. And you know what? I'll take it. If again, it's quality over quantity. If I'm getting 26-minute episodes, 26 minute 7 episodes, that's fine. I'd rather have that than like 45-minute 10 episodes and they all suck, or like 10,
Exactly.
16 episodes. Something like, not saying Invincible sucks. I'm not saying that it's Invincible great
Well,
fucking show,
but
but it's like it
yeah.
shows that's like we gotta wait like what it was like a year and a half between
Right.
not even so we had to wait like 2 or 3 years between seasons 1 and season 2. I know that there was like COVID and shit in between, which like fair, but even then between the first half and second half, we had to wait like a year. It's like I don't want to wait that long. Just give me all the episodes now.
Exactly. No, I mean, and you know what? At the end of the day, like you said, it takes a long time to make something that's animated. I mean, I know like it's not like easy to film something that's live action either. They just finished like I don't even know if they're completely done filming Peacemaker, right? They're still working on the last little bits of it.
Yeah.
And we've got like an 8-second preview, but that doesn't mean they're completely done filming it. And James Gunn is involved with that. But I mean, and obviously like Superman took like 4 or 5 months to film. So we know Fantastic Four is still filming, and they started a couple of months ago. So these movies did take a while to do like live action, but when it comes to animation, like you look at like the Spider-Verse movies, right? Like it takes them like 2.5 years to do each one, and even then you get reports of like VFX artists working 18-hour days. So what you don't want to have happen here is you're getting an hour-long episode, but then, like you said, we have to wait 2 years for something to come out. Like, I think it works as long as you're getting good quality stuff. I remember that X-Men series that came out, X-Men 97 this year, they had, like, episodes that were, like, 20, 25 minutes apiece, but, a lot of fans loved it because it's just the pacing in which it plays out. If you turn it into something live action, like, obviously, Frank Grillo's character is gonna be in other live action DCU projects, you will be able to see how, like, the way the character interacts with other characters on screen, and the pace at which the scenes play out is different. So I think it's more a matter of it being animated versus live action. It just made sense for them to do it this way, and I'm okay with that. Like you said, as long as you get some great episodes and it's going to be, like, incredibly memorable. Like, what would be bad is, like, especially because think about it from the other side of it. If it's bad and then you're getting hour-long episodes and you're like, I gotta watch 8 episodes of this shit, like, if it's 26 minutes and it's bad, you're like, okay. But if it's 26 minutes and it's good, the time will fly by, but you will hopefully still feel satisfied. The one thing I don't want to have happen is it feels like a Disney Plus show where it's 26 minutes and you feel like they cut you off before the story was even done for that episode. Like, I want these
Making
episodes.
it feel like a movie, but in a bad way.
Exactly. Like, I want these episodes to kind of stand by, and I think that's where James Gunn is really good. He's like, you know what? They will stand on their own and they will be good. Like, so, like, you can watch an episode and feel like you got a complete meal, like a full meal out of it,
Yeah.
And then I'm saying that there's only 7 episodes. So
Yeah.
it's like an animated film split into 7 parts thrown on Max. So also the only reason it takes Amazon so long is because their studio is very small. Well, I mean, but still, like, Spider-Verse is done by, like, a much bigger studio and it takes them a long time. And even if it is serialized, like what you said, like it's like a movie, you could still have each episode feel like a complete story. Even though the next episode continues the story, you could still have, like, each of the 7 episodes feel like they're complete. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the runtime. Temple's saying I have a bad feeling that Rick Flag Sr. is gonna die in Peacemaker season 2, either because of Peacemaker or something else. You know what? It's possible. It's definitely possible because he would have already done his Superman appearance by then. But I don't know. I mean, it's Frank Grillo. Like, Frank Grillo and James Gunn seem to love working with each other, and I don't know if he's gonna want to dispose of him that quickly. Um,
Especially if a Cruiser Commandos gets a season 2.
exactly. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say, like, that's gonna happen, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes,
Mhm.
and how things progress. But John, we have to keep going through just a lot of different things, and I just was browsing the interwebs today, and I found this sequence from a recent Superman and Lois episode. And again, you were
Mhm.
talking reviewed the episode yesterday, I believe, right? And you look at the VFX here, something about this just felt so quintessential Superman. Because I remember in one of the Christopher Reeves movies, like, I think it's like the bullet goes and, like, hits his eye and then gets.
That was Superman Returns, so
Was this Super?
yeah.
Oh, it was a Brendan Routh one. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm like, it
That
just
was that was the shot that they sold in every trailer, like, "Look how
yeah,
cool this is."
but I'm
And,
just
the
felt
one
like
you're probably thinking of is when he catches the bullet,
yeah.
to save Lois, but, like, they couldn't show it, obviously, they just had to, like, "Oh, it goes off," and then, "Oh, they grabbed it," because, like, they didn't have the effects at the time to really do
Well,
that,
back
but
right, exactly. Well, and then they did, like, a version of it in Wonder Woman, right? Like the
yeah.
first one with Gal Gadot, to kinda honor it. But, like, yeah, I mean, but it just again, this TV show, we've always talked about Superman and Lois as VFX budget for, the size of this and the scale of the show like, it's amazing. It blows you away that they're able to pull off the kind of things that they can compared to especially, like, the other CW shows that we were always looking at, like, oh, look at that terrible VFX shot. I know this is not it's still not exactly, like, movie quality, but for what it is, it just
Honestly, you can make a decent movie for $75,000,000 though,
eh,
that's
I mean, they did. The first Joker was basically $75,000,000. So
yeah. I will say the suit definitely looks the best this
yeah.
season, but I like what they did is they didn't go I loved how they didn't fucking go with the black suit because I've kinda hated the black suit. I just don't care for it. Like, I get, like, it serves a purpose in the comics, but the people don't realize, oh, they're not doing it to serve the purpose of the comics, it's just, "Oh, it looks cool." It's like, "Alright, fine, but I don't really care about that." I mean, if it looks cool, I guess, but people are acting people hype up the black suit way too much. And if we're talking about black suits, Spider-Man has the better black suit, but that's beside the point. But I like how this version they clearly went with a darker suit. Like it shows like, oh, he died, came back. So it's definitely a little bit like darker and like it's more like a dark navy
Desaturated.
blue and more like a maroon. So it fits with like the feelings they're going with. So they're kind of doing a little bit of both. They're doing like the dark, like black suit, but they still have the color there.
Right.
And I think it works here because it's reflecting like, the death of Superman. And I really like how they did that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and the suit just they've kept on improving the suit each and every season the show has been
Hmm.
on. I love it. I love it. I mean, and I'm just looking forward to seeing again how this show kind of wraps up. I just wanted to kind of like get into this tidbit a little bit because I just found it to be fantastic. Just again, the quality of VFX for the size of the show, especially considering all the budget cuts that it's had this season, right? But
Hmm.
getting back over to the world of the Penguin now, and we're gonna build up to a story that we came across today about Wick, like the character of Vic, played by Rhenzy Feliz. But before we get to it, yesterday you were kind of talking about this, John, the idea that the Batman Part Two is like Matt Reeves is talking about like yeah, I think the idea of being able to dig deeper into the true reason for the perpetual darkness of this place is one of the exciting things I'm excited about for the movie. Do you feel like he's truly leaning towards the Coat of Owls? Because there's been hints at that even in the
Yeah.
Penguin now. Like, do you think that now more so than ever we're gonna? And we know the Penguin is gonna be there, but do you think that, and especially now that we know his last name is Cobb, do you feel like the pieces are all there now that they're gonna sort of connect
This
this?
is very meta right now.
Yeah.
Live on X is us. Hey, look, there we are. Very meta.
That is
But
our
I mean, they've been teasing Court of Owls, but the thing is, the fact that it's so heavily like Court of Owls, I don't think Matt Reeves is going to do it yet. I don't think Batman Part 2 is going to feature Court of Owls. I think they're going to go with like a slightly bigger villain, but still small villain because Court of Owls, you need like a lot of proper buildup. You need like a lot of movies to like take care of that and whatnot. So I think that's what they're gonna go because like Court of Owls, it deserves a lot of respect in terms of that because it's like it's such a huge story. It was like a huge arc in the comics. So I don't want them to like do Court of Owls to do it for the sake of doing it,
right.
but I hope that they do it because they believe that it's like a really interesting place to go and they give it like a lot of time. Like I don't think the Batman should have been 3 hours, but if they do a Court of Owls movie, then 3 hours would actually make sense because, um, oh yeah, he was gonna become Victor Zsasz. Yeah, no. Oh, his name's Vic. Make him Victor Zsasz. Yeah, all right.
God, that's painful. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying I'm
Yeah, but like
getting
also
over.
I love this. Like I love, and I was saying this yesterday how Oswald Cobb is the blue collar gangster, kind of like what Rex Calabrese was. So I really like that as well. Um, but yeah, it's all very exciting, and so I hope that they do it properly. They don't just like do it because it's like, oh well, we had all these hints, we have to do it, or like we have to do it because the fans are doing that. Like, don't get me wrong, fans can do a lot of good. Like, look what happened with the fucking first Sonic movie when they fucking gave us that goddamn abomination in the first trailer, and then they're like, let's go back and fix this, and so that was good, but like then there's the idea of like I, I don't totally blame the fans for this, but like Spider-Man 3, where Avi Arad was like, well, we have to do Venom now because the fans are expecting Venom. And we like kind of were, but like not to the point where it's like, oh my God, you have to do it. But it's like, oh, we got to do Venom. We have to do Court of Owls. It's like, no, don't do it because the fans are like going like, oh my God, you have to do it now. Do it because that's where the story will progress. And
Exactly.
that's it.
But I think
So
the good thing about this is, like, they've been planting the seeds for it from the first movie,
yeah.
right? So, it will feel organic if that is the direction they go in. It won't feel like we're getting something that came out of nowhere, which is exactly what we wanna avoid, the kinda thing where you're being reactionary. Now, John, I did wanna bring up this one other thing that James Gunn posted recently, which kinda drew my attention a little bit. and it's the wording of what he said. So of course he congratulated the cast and crew of the Penguin on a great show. But look at what he says here. He says, "Don't miss the final episode of DC Studios' The Penguin. Congrats to Matt Reeves, Christian Milioti, Lauren LaFranc, and Colin Farrell on a great season. With endings come new beginnings. The series premiere of Future Commandos arrives this December, and Peacemaker season 2 in 2025 on stream on HBO Max." Now, what I want to draw your attention to is he
The fact
congratulates
that he says
on a
season.
great season. I want to say that's just something where he just kind of said it, like, and it doesn't mean anything, but it's James Gunn. And so we got to talk about it. Like, do you think this means they are working on a potential second season, or do you think this is all we're going to get?
I think season is just kind of like the way people talk about like one thing of like TV. So even though people say, "Oh, it's a mini series," it's a mini series. Sometimes people just say season. Series is kind of like weirder to say. Oh, it's a season. Season rolls off the tongue
Right.
more. I understand that doesn't matter because he's typing it out, but I think it's it's just people. I mean, I called it a season, even though it's a mini series throughout the whole thing. So I think for right now, at least until Batman Part 2, I don't think we're gonna get a season 2 unless it's like again that deals with the fans clamoring for it. I don't think they should do. And Lauren LaFranc said this. She's like, "We will do it only if we can better ourselves. Only do it
Yes.
because it's the best. We want to make it better." And honestly, yeah, I'm for that. Like, do it because you want to make it better. You want to make it really good. All that stuff. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it, or doing it because the fans want you to do it. Like, don't obviously listen. There's the perfectly balanced as all things should be of listening to the fans, but at the same time do it because there's a progression there and there's a certain level of wanting to create a story rather than because like if you go the extreme with either of those, either you're not listening to the fans at all and you're just focusing on your story, then the fans are a part of this. They're the reason why you make stuff. So completely forgetting about them is kind of the wrong way to do it because then you're only making it for yourself and that shouldn't be the case. And making it because of your vision, your story, blah blah blah, all this stuff, and then you're making something that nobody cares about, kind of like what Todd Phillips did with Joker Folie à Deux, and that's coming from someone who likes the movie.
Mm.
Or if you only listen to the fans, you're gonna get a lot of dumb shit because the fans don't think about like budget, logistics, business, that kind of thing. They don't know about that world. They're just like, I want to see this guy as this character, and you should do it like this because of this, this, and this. And that's not the case because we don't know anything. Well, most of us don't know anything about like filmmaking and the industry and how like certain things work. Unions, scouting locations, certain like writers' rooms, and like all this other shit that takes like a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money that they aren't. Oh, there's like so much that happens behind the scenes that even people who know of the filmmaking business, there's still even more that you don't know about because it's as Nando V Movie said, it's a miracle that anything is made at all. Like the fact that like anything is made, whether it be TV, movies, anything in the entertainment industry, specifically film and TV, anything is made is like a miracle. Everything that's been ever made is like a fucking miracle, good or bad, because it's like wow, they really fucking went from pre-production to post-production to release. Everything is just like wow, we did that, holy shit. So there's that as well. So I think you need to find that like perfect like line, that perfect balance of Thanos. As Thanos said, you gotta like listen to the fans, listen to what they want, but at the same point also want to create a story and look at the all the things you are able to do under the industry and under what the box you're kind of put in by like executives and all this other stuff. So find that line, progress the story properly, making sure it's good, but also be like, okay, let's see what you guys have to say. What do you want to see? What's, what you guys are expecting to see, and do some of that, but maybe not do all of it. So you have a couple twists and turns along the way.
Yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned, like even Colin Farrell himself said that if he was gonna come back for another season, it's gonna have to be like, they're gonna if they get the writing right and if it's as good, if not better than what they did this season, then he'd be all of course he would love to do it. And it seems like that's been the party line with like Lon LaFranc, with everybody, like Matt Reeves even has been coy, but I think so far they've kept it to a limited series. That's kind of like they're like, this is sort of where we want to leave it as for the time being. It's just interesting though, the wording like on a great season. And the reason I say it is because usually they'll say on a great series, like a limited series. But again, like you said, it rolls off the tongue. So it's probably just, him saying, great job, guys, on a great TV show. And I didn't want to blow it up out of proportion. I just figured the wording was, choice was a little curious. And James Gunn can sometimes slide things under the radar like that. So I figured, why not? Let's talk about it a little bit. But speaking of it being a limited series, John, not only is The Penguin going to be available to stream on Max, and of course, I believe they're going to continue to probably air it on HBO periodically, so you can still watch it if you have like linear HBO on your television, like if you have Xfinity or some other cable subscription. But you can still stream it on Max. However, there's a lot of us out there. I still for the stuff that I really really love, I like to collect a physical copy of a movie
Always
or
physical, guys. Always go
you know
physical.
so, because I mean, there's the thing of, what if Max goes under tomorrow for some whatever reason, and now we can no longer watch it. So for stuff that I
I
really
mean,
like,
look
I
at all
still
the stuff they got rid of on Max when, they merged with
did,
Discovery.
but they did. I mean, in most cases though, is because like it's nobody's watching it and they're having to pay. Because the thing
But
is,
at the
when
same
keeping
time, there's the idea of
physical,
preservation.
I get
Um,
that too, but it's the thing of like it's a business, right? So like you have to kind of
oh
make
yeah, I
certain.
get that, but like at the same time, you need to try to preserve as much as we can. That's why piracy kind of helps too. Like, I'm like I have to do it if I have to do it, but like I'm not the biggest fan of piracy, but like that's where you're gonna find like most stuff nowadays because
Right,
there's no like release, there's nothing on streaming, and it's like there's a whole like Internet Archive, which unfortunately I think is still down by this point because people are stupid, but it's like you need to create like an archive of preservation. But
right.
the best thing to do is physical. Like I just watched this movie the other day. It's free on the internet on like Tubi and Roku and Crackle and all this other shit. But I'm like, you know what? I need the goddamn DVD one because the movie's excellent. But I'm like, I need the damn DVD, even though it's the the region 2 version because the region 1 version isn't out yet, but I'm like,
Right.
screw it, I'll get it anyway. It can still work on my PS4. It's fine.
Mhm.
So
I remember
I
when I got the PS4 and I was like, "Oh, don't have to worry about region locks anymore."
I don't have to worry with region locks. I could finally watch. I owned one Blu-ray, and I'm like, finally, I can watch this movie. And then I started getting Blu-rays because it like sometimes Blu-rays are cheaper because you have like stuff like Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome and all that only goes to Blu-ray, and that's the only way you'll find it. Or you're gonna find like a VHS that's like from 40 years ago that costs $100 for a movie you want to see. And it's just like, damn, well, okay. So sometimes Blu-ray is the best way to go. Now we have 4K, so there's also that to worry
Right.
about, but I don't have
Well,
PS5. I only have PS4. So
I mean, the PS4 I think does play 4K. If you have a 4K TV, the PS4 does have 4K. But I feel like it does. But anyway, but the point I was trying to make is the Penguin is going to be available. The Penguin Limited series is going to be releasing on a 4K Steelbook that you can get a hold of on March 17th,
gonna get that.
2025. Of course, like March 5th, 2025,
Right
I
in time
believe.
for St. Patrick's Day. Nothing
Exactly.
says nothing says celebrating St. Patrick's Day like an Irishman playing an Italian American mobster.
Exactly.
Perfect.
It's perfect. It's picture perfect. I mean, and then March is a big month for the superhero genre anyway, because I don't know when the Captain America movie's coming out, but I know
I
that
think it's
Daredevil Born Again is releasing March 5th. So, and it's got a 9 episode run. So, like, of course, as far as like, comic book stuff that takes place in New York goes, you can watch Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus, and then you can get yourself a
Valentine's Day.
Penguin.
That's
Hmm?
when Brave New World's coming out.
Valentine's Day?
Yep.
Oh, okay, February. Wow. Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's definitely not March, but I mean, but it's exciting to see that they are putting. This is where I think Warner Brothers is making the right decisions, right? Like Warner Brothers and DC and HBO, where they're like, look, this was an HBO original. I think this is also one of the reasons why they probably separated it out as an HBO original, because now you can do stuff like this. Because if it was a Max original, like I don't think we're gonna ever gonna get Peacemaker on physical,
No.
or if we are, it's gonna be it's something where it takes a while for them to get there because they
Either
want to
takes a
encourage
while
the
or it's gonna
long.
only be specific to regions that don't
Right.
have HBO Max.
Exactly.
There's like a lot there because I've seen like a lot of like TV shows and movies where it's like it's only specific to like region 2, region 3, region 4, where it's not in the US because it's like, oh, it's available on Max. So like what's the point of like getting the physical if you have again.
Yeah.
Um nice username. But so yeah, because like I remember I tried to get the DVD for Dark,
Yeah.
but it's like it's on Netflix here, but it was like the only one I could find was like on this weird sketchy website that was like I think region whatever is under. I don't know if Germany. I think Germany's under region 3. I want to say region 3 or 4. So it was like only available through that. So I'm like, I'm not getting it on this fucking sketchy ass fucking website. So it's like a whole rigmarole. I don't believe in any of this. I mean, everything should be released on physical. Everything should be released like no matter what, because it's all about,
I mean,
preservation. Even like bad movies, like Solo having a Criterion release. It's just like why? But it's like at the same time, my my belief in preservation and archiving is more so than my personal taste and personal thoughts about certain movies. So it's like everything. It's like kind of like an everything or nothing sort of thing. It's either everything has to be on physical or nothing is physical. So that's what I believe in at least.
yeah. Oh, Temple's saying, how likely do y'all think is it that we're gonna see Harvey Dent being Bruce's best friend in part 2, and they're gonna give us a show about him where Penguin throws acid in a court case? I don't know. I mean, that's quite the theory, though. I don't even know if we're gonna get Harvey Dent in the second movie. I mean, we could. I mean, the thing is, we have gotten Harvey Dent in a second Batman movie in a trilogy like twice before. So I feel like if maybe they're gonna try to go in a
And we
different direction.
just got him in Joker
So
Folie à Deux.
exactly. So,
So
well, again, another like thing where he's in the second movie of the franchise. So, but hey, you know what? As far as the Penguin goes, you can go get yourself a steelbook from your local retailer, whether it's a Walmart, a Best Buy, or if you live in the UK, maybe like a Sainsbury or Tesco or something, or wherever you are. You can maybe definitely probably get it off Amazon. So I'm gonna definitely try to get a hold of it because this show is one of those shows that's just too good to not have a copy of that you can just watch. Especially if like your internet might go down. I don't know. There's reasons why, and it's a good investment. 8 episodes. It's honestly probably one of, if not the best show DC has ever done. So I would definitely love to get a hold of it and have a physical copy. Now, John, we were talking about Rip Victor. We've got somebody in the chat whose username is Rip Victor. So special. Speaking of
wait, no,
uh,
I think no. Callum Cohen said "Rest in peace, Victor." LOL.
R.I.P. Victor. Yeah,
But
no,
it's
but we
not
do
his
have
username. So
whose name is R.I.P. Victor. But um, oh yeah, Temple saying give Peacemaker a 4K Steelbook. I think it's less likely because it's a Max original, but we'll see. Maybe James Gunn will do that once the second season is out, or maybe once the series finishes, they'll do like a whole and collection of it. But here's something that I came across today. This is from Entertainment Weekly, the original source for this. And Matt Reeves was being interviewed, and he mentioned that they scrapped an idea where Batman appears with Vic in the Penguin, John. I know that, of course, we didn't get the Batman at all, and there were all kinds of memes about it. The idea that Batman just sitting on his ass or like playing video games or whatever the hell he's doing, he's not there to like take part in this gang war that the Penguin had started. But of course, it's interesting to just hear the fact that even we're thinking about it at one point. do you care to speculate like how that would have worked? Like, do you think this would have been a Batman sort of trying to steer Rick onto the right path? Do you think he would have tried to recruit him? Like, maybe was this going to be the origin story of a Robin that ultimately got scrapped? Like, do you think there was going to be much to it? Like, was it just simply like they're like, oh, maybe like that's where Batman makes his cameo, or do you think they had a bigger story in mind that they ended up scrapping because they went in a totally, of course, a very different direction with Wick's character?
I think it was just like maybe like Vic was kind of doing like maybe like a small crime, like kind of like
Mhm.
on the verge of like not or maybe like not quite, but like he was like, I would say if I were to take a guess, it would probably be in Victor's episode where it was the third episode where we saw the flashbacks and like maybe he was doing like a bunch of crimes to like, survive, kind of like, stealing the wheels off of his Maserati. So, and then he like meets Batman, and Batman obviously doesn't do anything. He's just like, don't fucking, don't don't be a dick. Wait a
Yeah.
minute, that gives me an idea. And then he runs away. But no, it just whatever it is. Um, no, it was like that was like the joke that like the Penguin got a Robin before Batman did, and like there was like
Right.
all
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I think that if I were to take a guess, that like that's like the main thing, because that like makes the most sense, because I can't see him getting, you know, like being in the middle of like this huge arc, this huge like, this like gang war, all this other shit. I just feel like it would have been like lost everything. But like if there was like a small moment before everything really started, which is like the only things I could see was like Vic like
Right.
being on the
Yeah.
street, surviving, like stealing and all this other shit. And like Batman being like, hey, don't do this shit. And then, gives him a warning, trying to be like that hopeful hero, and
Mhm.
then just kind of moving on. That was like, that's all I could really see. But Matt Reeves was like, no, let's not do Batman at all because we want this to exist on its own. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I know that we were sort of like really against the idea that of why wouldn't you have him in there is like the whole of the where the well, why not call the Avengers kind of a moment, but I think I kind of respect the fact that they didn't do it and they did, and you know what? I didn't really miss Batman in this show too much. I know that and while the show was airing, people were like, oh, where's Bruce Wayne and all this, but I'm like, look, it's a big city. Like it's like just imagine this: if you live in New York City is huge. Just because something happens in a part of, I don't know, Brooklyn doesn't mean that you're going to hear about it all over Manhattan. Like, it's one of those things where a lot of this, especially like the gang war stuff, is all happening in the underbelly of Gotham. And so it's not like, and yes, Bruce Wayne fights crime at night. There was also like people talking about, oh, a lot of this show takes place during the day. Why do you think that is? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's just one of those things where this Batman is also really young and early in his career. So I don't imagine that he's up to fighting, or like in intervening in an entire gang war just yet, right? Like he has to pick his spots. Literally, that's what is part of his monologue in the beginning of the Batman is that it's like they think I am I am the shadows, but like I have to pick my spot, I have to pick my fights or something to that effect. Like he literally says I can't be everywhere. So to that end, like it's and even the story of the first movie with the Riddler's like writes to the Batman. So it's like it's very pointedly like it's almost like Gotham is beckoning Batman to get involved in something rather than the other way around. So I think it makes sense, but the fact that they thought about this idea, I wonder like if in an alternate reality, Vic's character would have made it out of the show alive. Like that's why this was just so intriguing to me. So I don't
Mm.
know. Um Caleb saying Penguin and Robin, two birds, one stone. Oh my god, okay, that's a bad dad joke. Okay. Jay Kelly saying Victor should have been the kid the gang that Batman let go in the Batman. Oh, you mean like at the very beginning? You know what? Yeah, I maybe they'll get back to that at some point. I don't know. Um, Temple saying my only critique is not that Batman didn't show up. It's just that this show acts like he didn't exist or he doesn't exist. We got like two mentions only. I feel like mentioning him in news investigations set case would be fire. Well, again, it's one of those things where they do mention him a couple of times in TV reports, but it's not like the Batman is. established as like this 10-15 year, like the Ben Affleck Batman was, right? Where the police even know the legend of Batman, are scared of him. This Batman hasn't quite gotten that status yet, so he's still sort of like he's not like an essential part of the Gotham lore just yet. He's a part of the Gotham lore, but he's not an essential part of the Gotham lore. So I'm okay with where they landed with that. However, John, I do want to get into some of these fan reactions because you reviewed the show yesterday, but I was just like digging through online and seeing what people are talking about and saying about the Penguin, and you look at it here, and I'm like, I agree with that opinion. Colin Farrell is to the Penguin what Heath Ledger was to Joker in terms of being just like a definitive take, right? And this is a
Right.
character that, of course, that Danny DeVito was the image in our minds for decades as the Penguin. But I think now it's Colin Farrell, man. You say the Penguin, and I'm like, oh yeah, Colin Farrell is the man. He's the Penguin, and this show just absolutely solidified him as the definitive Penguin. Even though this version of the Penguin isn't
I don't
exactly
know
like
if
Heath
he'll
Ledger,
ever be the definitive
they're
Penguin
not
with
like comic book
Danny
accurate.
DeVito still existing, but
Yeah,
but I still thought he was really good. Like I think all
yeah,
three oh sorry, all four live action Penguins have all been good despite material. Like I think Burgess Meredith was great for the time. Danny DeVito, all time best Penguin. I think the guy from Gotham did a good job. Robin Taylor, I think his name was. Despite the show being complete and utter garbage, he was good from what I saw of him. And even though the fat suit in the last episode looked whoa. And then here is definitely much better. So I think yeah, I saw that too, Temple. That was oof, damn, ouch.
dude, I
But
saw that, and
I
that
would
hurt my
say
that
out of the
literally hurt
ones
my.
I've seen, Colin Farrell's probably my second favorite, but like none of them are bad. Like it's like all of them are like 9 to 10s, and I think all of them did a really, really good job. Um, so I really liked I love the show. I think he did great. I think Melody did great, but in terms of like the pantheon of villains, I thought he did a really, really good job. Even
Yeah,
though you can like kind of see at points the makeup was a little wonky and it was harder to showcase that rather than in like a couple scenes in a movie. But I think it was still, I still think it, like for the most part it was okay. And you know, and nobody would put up a missing poster. This guy had no family. Nobody cared about this guy. So,
dude, it's just so
but I think they
stupid.
were
Oh my god, that like it hit me in the feels for some reason. So I was like, why? What are they doing? They're just playing with people's emotions. But yeah, I mean, hey, keeping on going with the reactions here. Look at this one here. The Penguin. This is from Joe, the Bat Dad, on Threads. He says the Penguin did what all the comic book media that uses villains as their main characters are afraid to do: have their villains be actual villains. And
right.
you know what? Like, there's the meme there with the Homelander, but I'm like, fuck the Homelander. That does not count because the Homelander is like in part of a show that it's just it does. I don't think the boys kind of fits in that equation. I think that the what
No,
the
because it's lampooning superheroes, so it's not a
exactly,
real superhero show. It's
like
an
but
homage, it's a parody, it's a
yeah,
satire, a very poor
yes,
one at that, but that's what the basis is.
yes.
So, and I agree with that. Like again, even as someone who really likes Joker fully to do, I could see that complaint with that, where it's like, oh, he's not really the Joker, but I think it worked for the narrative. Other people didn't. That's fine. But yeah, I like that. Like, we were talking about Thanos before. That's the problem with Thanos is like they were trying to make him look like a good guy. And it's like, why? What? He's not, he's, as Temple said, it's a war criminal. Like, why are we, celebrating this guy? He committed genocide. Like, and it's
Exactly.
like, oh man, he has a point. It's like, no, he fucking doesn't. He doesn't have a point. Like, that's the point is that
That's
he
the
doesn't
point.
have a
He
point.
doesn't know. He's
And
got a very odd logic. I mean, and
it's,
and you know what? The same thing applies to like more recent examples, like the Loki show, right? They gave him a total, redemption arc,
yeah.
and even Agatha all along. I'm like, these are villainous characters who are all being
Well,
redeemed
to
as
be fair,
heroic.
Agatha was never a villain until the MCU made her a villain. So now she's honestly becoming more like her comic book counterpart. So all
See,
that what Agatha I will forgive, but I agree with Loki. I agree with
Yeah, but
Loki.
but still, I think the point here that Joe is trying to make, I think, is warranted, right? Like the idea that we do not like the Penguin. The Penguin is there. The Penguin had his Kylo Ren moment by the end of the show, where it's like they're in a redemption arc here, man. Like what you did, except of course Kylo Ren gets a redemption arc, but like we don't talk about that. But the point I'm trying to make is like at the end of the show, I'm like, now Batman can go John Wick on the Penguin's ass, and we're not gonna care because of what the Penguin did to Wick and what he did to pretty much everybody else. Um, it's just, yeah. I just appreciate again the comments. Now, of course, we have to talk about the Superman trailer one more time because James Gunn keeps giving away these hints, and you might have talked about this when I was away yesterday, but James Gunn recently said that it's on my hard drive, but seriously, all three of those projects come out months before us, and referring to Captain America 4, The Thunderbolts, and Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, which most recently just put out a trailer. So it makes sense that those move because they're coming out sooner. They're already put out their trailers. Basically, James Gunn saying, "Hey, I've got it, but we're gonna hold on to it for a little while. We're gonna pick our moment." And then I just saw this the idea because again, he's talking about Mission Impossible. This is the meme of "I will protect the hard drive as if I am Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, running through a sandstorm." I'm like, yes, I would do the same if James Gunn handed me that hard drive with the trailer. I would do exactly that. I'm like, I got you,
Well,
James.
first I would release it to the internet, but then I would, I would protect it. I would like go in like I would like burn my social security card. I would, go into the woods for like a couple months until James Gunn's like, all right, you can come out now, and then I'm like, okay, cool.
Yep, pretty much. It's yeah, you will just become the personal carrier of the trailer for James Gunn. Again, this the internet is undefeated, and I'm just like, it's mixing up all the right flavors for me, so I'm into it. And you know what? This one here, god damn. Again, it's like the missing persons poster, and then this shit. It's like it's grit analysis, but it just makes my blood boil. Just again, how despicable of a character the Penguin is. Just again, just calling out the parallels between the two scenes that just make the whole situation that much more operatic. The Penguin is just again on another level when it comes to TV, and it's the idea of a good setup then which you pay off, right? A lot of comic book stories tend to do a great setup, but then they kind of mess up the payoff.
Right.
You called it pretty much right after this episode, the first episode aired. I mean, you were like, Vic is clearly not going to survive.
No,
So,
I was
yeah,
okay. I was kind of halfway
right.
right with his mom because okay, she didn't die, but she did become a vegetable. So I was like halfway there, like because we all thought she was gonna die too. Because I mean, she has dementia. She's like, oh, you be my good boy. Fucking what's his name? Oz. You be a good boy. You're gonna fucking you're gonna own Gotham. All this other shit, and now she's stuck with her shitty son that she tried to fucking murder as a
Mhm.
child and be like, well, I'm here now. Shit. What do I do?"
She's
And then
stuck
she's
in
just
her own
crying.
prison. She's stuck in
Yeah.
her own prison,
Yep.
It's yeah, but oh god, the writing of the show is just so clever. And again, just the hinting of the Court of the Owls, like you're seeing again, fans pointing out there's more of those hints. Just, I mean, maybe it's just we're seeing patterns, maybe it's accidental, but then again, rarely are things accidental in like TV show or movie of this scale. So, you know what? I think they've been hinting at it. We're probably gonna get Court of Owls in the second Batman movie. And then Tom King, of course, chimed in saying, "If you
Yep.
are loving the Penguin, and of course, John, I think this was maybe meant for you directly. That you can hop on and check out this comic book of the Penguin, and get more of this slimy, scheming bird, this desperate, flawed, brutal, scheming bird." Um, have you
I
heard
mean,
about this comic?
if he didn't write it, I'll check it out. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, you even kind of have like the similar vibe with like right here. That
Mhm.
kind of looks like, you know,
Yeah,
Colin Farrell's Penguin a little bit, maybe with longer hair, but
right.
Godfather 2 shot. And speaking of, I forgot to mention this yesterday, where he was like, where with all like the underlings killing their um the head guys of the gangs. I'm like, this is a very Godfather esque ending where like they take out like during the you know, do you denounce Satan? And it's the ending of like him at the christening and his, mob boys are fucking killing all the other mob boss. I'm like, very Godfather-esque. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I mean, maybe this comic panel is the future of the penguin that we're seeing. Holy shit, that's a bloody end to the penguin. Uh, but yeah, no, I mean, hey, if you guys are interested in more penguin content until we get the next Batman movie, the Penguin #1, it's coming out. So it's a 12-issue series, and I mean, John's favorite writer, Tom King. But dude, yeah, you're right. Going back to just the fact that she got the palace, she got the life. He's like, I deserve better, Oz, but like, she's stuck with the devil himself, essentially. But I did like at the end that we got like the Batman symbol in the sky. I'm like, that's it. Like, a couple of minor hints. Like, we never got the Batman himself, but we got a couple of hints at the Batman. And I like the way, again, where the show started was very much the end of the Batman, and where it ends here feels like this could be right where the Batman Part 2 begins, which is exactly what Matt Reeves has been saying. And at least visually, but also from a story standpoint, it looks like they really just paid off, everything that they've said so far about the show. And it just felt poetic, right? I think that's one of the things I loved about the show is the ending felt poetic in so many ways, is with where all the characters ended up and what they were setting up and how they paid it all off. It just felt natural, and it's just a good sign. It's just a sign of great writing. That's what it is at the end of the day. Temple's like, F Tom King, get this guy out of my face.
Based.
Antonio saying, remember the reason why they went with the name Cobb? It has ties to the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you did mention that. That wasn't. I also still had. I still have the theory that Rex Calabrese is his real father. They didn't. I mean, totally hint at that, but they didn't also denounce it either. So I'm like, that's still in my head a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We haven't gotten that question yet. Maybe that question will get answered in the next movie. Because I know we know that Colin Farrell, by the way, is going to be in the next two Batman movies. He's signed up for 3 of them. But I just wanted to kind of quickly mention, uh, John, just so you could you just sent me your buddy's review. You
Yeah.
could have said, God damn it.
Pop it up on the screen. I'm gonna shout out my friend.
I know. But dude, we recently talked about Denzel Washington potentially being in the DCU, but like, it
Yeah.
looks like Marvel beat him to the punch, and now Ryan Coogler is writing a role for him in the Black Panther 3. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of like mixed emotions. I'm like, A, well, this does prove that, Denzel is not above doing comic book movies.
Yeah.
B, I just wish that, maybe he does end up eventually with a role in the DCU. But hey, at least we're gonna get to see him in the
I
MCU.
can
Well, when
only. I'll bet you all the fucking money in the universe that it's like a bit part. He's on
yeah.
screen for like 10 minutes, not even. It's going to be in front of a
Maybe
green screen. It's going to be like 2 days of shooting. He's going to come in, be like, "Hi, I'm Denzel Washington," or whatever his character is going to be, and then fucking leave. It's like
yeah,
those
he's gonna be
movies with like
Black Panther.
Cameron Mitchell, and like you get like I'm a big Red Letter Media fan, so they watch a lot of like bargain bin, like crappy action, sci-fi, and horror movies. And then the thing is to have like a selling point, they grab like a has-been actor who like doesn't give a fuck about anything anymore. They bring him in and they have him like sit in a chair, and it's like 2 days of shooting. He says like a couple lines, they throw the script in front of him. He's like, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, da, 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 okay, yeah, cool. And then they leave. So it's like, okay, oh my god, we have Cameron Mitchell in this movie, or oh my god, we have Adam West in this movie. And it's like, oh, okay, it's just like he's in the movie for 5 minutes, and it's like, oh yeah, oh, you want me to? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. How much you paying me again? Oh, 10 million. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. All right, all right. I'm gonna be in a real movie in like next week, so let me just get fucking through this shit, and then he like goes on to like do Gladiator 3 and then whatever the hell he has planned. But yeah, I'm willing to bet you so much money that it's gonna be like a bit part and it's gonna be like 10 minutes. And if I'm wrong, I will eat crow. I will you decide my punishment, guys, in the comments below, whatever my punishment is. But I will bet I'm like 100% sure that it's gonna be like, because he specifically said Ryan Coogler wrote the part for me. So he
Yeah.
specifically was like, I'm gonna get Denzel Washington. I'm gonna put him in this movie as some like character, and then like he's like gonna be like a mentor or something. Like, hey, Letitia Wright, I don't remember her character name. You're gonna be the next greatest Black Panther because reasons. So do the best. Hashtag girl
Be
boss.
like a shaman or something.
Eve. Like that's like gonna be it. That's it. That's all we're gonna get. So
I mean, it's possible. I suppose it's yeah. Oh well. Well, I just wanted to kind of touch upon it because I was like, oh man, we missed the boat. Like, come on. Anyway, we'll see. But dude, going back to the Penguin again, kind of bouncing back and forth here. I love the image that they so teased us with, like the comic accurate suit. Oh, he didn't put on the hat, but like it was so cool. And I know you talked about this yesterday, but I was loving it. I was like, the show is so good that I forgive them for the has to earn the comic accurate suit cliche. I'm like, I maybe that's what we see him. Maybe when we see him in the Batman Part 2, he does have the hat on and he does look like the Penguin. Like he's gonna start to look more and more like Danny DeVito at that point. So, but I'm excited to see that again, they gave us like all the right hints from the comics, except they still told their own story. So I just love it. I love it. Um, yeah, Jay Kelly. Denzel wouldn't waste his time for a 10-minute role. He's Denzel Washington. But yeah, I mean, dude, $10 million, he's not gonna walk away from $10 million for 5
or
minutes.
whatever the actual price was. I just threw a
Yeah.
whatever the amount. It's probably more like 50 million. Like here, 5 minutes, 50 million. He gets paid 10 million by the minute. Boom, there you go.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I'm excited to see again where the Penguin character goes next. But did you look at these images, John? It kind of
Mm,
it harkens back to sort of the what we got from Colin Farrell, right? Like from when for the Batman, it was just this whole idea of he wanted to. That's how when we first saw, like, oh god, like look at this guy looks nothing like himself, and yeah, Sophia just getting dolled up as well, not Sophia, like Christian Milioti getting dolled up as Sophia, Gigante. You could tell like she's getting into character, and it's just I don't think she probably took like 8 hours in the makeup chair, but I appreciate the transformation because her
yeah,
character really changes how she looks as the show goes on, right? Like she becomes a completely different person, and then when you see the flashbacks, it's like the character arc that she goes on is so extensive, and it's probably one of the best character arcs we have seen on TV for anything all year. I'm like, what are your thoughts on these images? Again, just we're getting more of those
I
behind the
like
scenes
this image in
of
particular.
this
I think it
character,
really showcases the
you know?
mullet really well. I think it really showcases the you know the power behind her character and the stature and how cool she is, and that's it. Nothing else. I think it just showcases the greatness of the character. That's totally it. That's definitely what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean, I like Chris Milioti. I was just reading another friend's review who hated the show, and he was like, "Yeah, this chick fucking sucked." I'm like, I don't think so. I thought she did a really good job. I understand like kind of the hate a little bit, where she's just kind of like the personification of like gaslight gatekeep girl boss, and I'm like, I can kind of see that, like like fucking like TikTok feminist crap. I'm like, I can kind of see it, but I still think that at the very end, like Milioti at least sold it very well, and I still really liked it. I still think she did a really good job here, and I think I do hope to see her in the all right. I y'all need a fucking girlfriend, and I'm saying that. So like, just or get like a pocket pussy or something. Goddamn.
Oh my
But
god,
it just
alright.
I want like as I think the Watcher and Temple and like others are saying, like I want to see her, team up with Catwoman. I'm like, yeah, that's I don't know if like a full spin-off like show, at least maybe like a movie or something, or like a TV movie, a streaming movie. I think that could be really awesome. Like just the two of them just owning Gotham. Um
I would love to
that's
see
why I'm
that.
saying why I'm saying like a TV. I don't think a TV show would last, but I think like a movie, like a straight to streaming movie could like just like the two of them for the time being, and then they go their separate ways forever. But I would like to see that because I feel like they kind of have that similar alignment.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that would be really awesome. But whatever they plan to do, whatever they plan to do, I'm here for it. I think they've done a great job, and whatever Lauren LaFranc does in the future, let's have her direct Batman Part Two. That would be great.
Temple's like, gotta do dating advice streams every Friday.
Don't be a simp. That's rule number one. Don't be a simp. Don't pay for porn. That's like the two biggest, the best relationship advice I could give for single guys. Don't simp. Don't pay for porn. Boom. There you go. Watch OnlyFans fucking die overnight. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Perfect. I said it.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I think that Kristen Milioti was probably one of the best characters we've seen on TV all year, and just the transformation of her character,
Yeah.
over the course of
The
the series.
mother to, you know, as the mother from How I Met Your Mother to all the, horny dudes is now mommy. So the mother to mommy. So,
Mm,
that seems to be the case for all you fucking horny bastards in the comments. You know,
love Jay's comment. I'd wait for her. But yeah, I mean, hey, the final episode was pretty unhinged, and it ended the show on an absolute season high, or series high rather. So, I've been excited to see where the characters going from here. I'm excited to see that Sophia's going to be sticking around, and of course, where Penguin goes. And speaking of Colin Farrell as the Penguin, we were talking about it earlier. He has signed on for 3 Batman films, and he reportedly has 5 or 6. At least that's what he's been told. So what are your thoughts on like how big of a role he's gonna have? Like, do you think he's gonna be like one of the main characters in the next movie, or is he still gonna be more of like a supporting role?
I think he's just going to be a small supporting role since we saw this where he's got what he's wanted, and it seems like he got immunity because he needs to lay low from criminal shit for a while.
Right.
So I feel like the next movie is like maybe the Batman suspects Penguin or something. He's like, "Oh, what are you talking about? I'm clean, yo, Batsy, I'm clean. What are you talking about? I am a law abiding citizen right now." Like, I feel like he would definitely pull that where he just like, "I don't know what you're talking about. What are you showing me?" Anyway, I don't know why I'm going into Jerry Seinfeld, but I feel like he would kind of go that. Like, we'll see like maybe little tidbits of like the future of this penguin, but and then like maybe like he comes face to face with Batman, but like nothing too major. But I'm glad that we're only getting 5 to 6. I said this yesterday. I'm glad we're only getting like 5 to 6 scenes because that means he's not the main villain. Because it's like I just feel like it wouldn't be fair that this dude gets fucking 8 hours of content, and then on top of the fact he's the main villain for the second movie. That's just not fair. Like, there's so many great Batman villains that we haven't seen at all, not just Court of Owls, but like, I don't know,
Mhm.
weirder ones like Professor Pig. Ignoring like all the ones that we've got, like there's so many great ones I would love to see that have never been done, that Matt Reeves could do and do it like well in his like realism world. So I give them a chance. I would
Yeah.
say just don't just like keep doing characters that we've like, just don't have like, oh, Penguin and Riddler are going to be the main villains again. It's like, all right, come on, get out of here.
I mean,
None of
and
that.
yeah, at Temple, we did notice that there's a typo there in that post. So yeah, it's the Oingoin rather than the penguin. But hey, the point still stands that Colin Farrell, it looks like he's going to be around for a long time to come. So I'm excited to see how his character evolves because I'm like, dude, if he's got 5 or 6 scenes in the next movie, that means I mean, in a movie like a feature film, you're gonna have like 30, 40 like scenes, right? So that means he's really doesn't have a big role. Like, so they're really gonna keep him around. I mean, does that mean we're gonna get a second series or a second season? Like, I think that significantly increases the chances. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where things go from here. So yeah. John, what are your thoughts on the again just the death of Victor Aguilar? Do you think that there's a chance that he can be resurrected somehow? Because I know somebody in the chat was
I
mentioning that.
mean, like Matt Reeves. I know it's like, there's realism and stuff, but like I still think you could like keep like supernatural stuff to like a minimum, but also keeping that realism. Like maybe they bring Ra's al Ghul in. With that, they bring in the Lazarus Pit. With that, maybe Aguilar is way more important than we thought he was. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying just like,
It's possible. It's possible.
I'm not saying a word, but I'm saying, you know, it's comics. Nobody ever really stays dead. Not even Uncle Ben or the Waynes at this point. Not even Jor-El. Like, every one of these motherfuckers can come back. Like, so I'm just saying, like,
Well, we do have to get into speaking of Rhenzy Feliz, let's talk about Rhenzy Feliz potentially being in the DCU now because he's free. He's free to go with the Matt Reeves universe. Do you think that he can jump across to James Gunn's DCU? And then if so, do you think Static Shock could potentially be a good character for him?
well, considering the fact, no, I don't think Static Shock would be a good one. I think Static could be a good one, but that's just me being anal about the name of Static because everyone thinks it's Static Shock when the real name is just Static. I know that's the name of the TV show, but his name was just Static. I'm just really anal about that. That's all. But I think I thought I thought he was, great here, and I understand like, in terms of like big superhero characters, I think I don't know, but he was in the Runaways as like a guy with power, superhero, but that was a while ago, and I feel like he was a good enough actor. I would say he's like the greatest actor ever, but I thought he was good, and I feel like he fit in like he you know acting against Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti. I think he did a fairly good job, so I could see him as like other characters, whatever that may be. I think Static could be a good. Um, I think he might be a little bit too old. I'm curious. He's 27. He's 5'9" because everyone talks about the goddamn height nowadays. But I think Rhenzy Feliz, whatever it is, he is, I believe he's half black, half um Hispanic. I mean, he was in Encanto. He was in, as I said, he was in Teen Wolf. He was in Runaways. Kevin Probably Saves the World, all that stuff. So, and then this is probably the biggest thing he's done. So he hasn't done a ton hasn't had a ton under his belt, but what he has done, I think it shows that he's a good actor. So I think Static could be really good. He might be a little bit too old for that because, like, if they want to keep him like a teenager, that's what he kind of was here. I mean, I thought he was way younger. I thought he was like maybe early 20s, but no, he's late 20s. He still has a baby face a little bit. So, you know, I think he could be a good cyborg, I think. He I know well, I think that he's like I think he's half black, half Hispanic if uh from what I know, but I could be totally wrong on that, and I could be recommending all these roles, and he's like, nope, that's not how that works. So I'm like, oh well, shit. Um, so I think he could be Static. I mentioned Cyborg yesterday. I think he's a little bit small, but I mean, I think he's at that age like that they would want because Aaron Pierre is 30, and that's who's the next like Green Lantern because they're probably not with a Hal Jordan that's almost 60. They're probably not gonna have him for too long. Maybe whatever they're gonna plan to do with Hal Jordan, I don't know, but it seems like they're gonna go with like more like the secondary heroes, and I feel like that kind of works with like younger, like I wouldn't call them legacy. They're not really legacy heroes because that's more like children and that kind of thing. But I feel like they're gonna base this more on the secondary kind of heroes, like not because I mean they have Jolimar Duena as Blue Beetle. He's the third Blue Beetle after Ted Cord. I feel like they're gonna have Jon Stewart be the main guy. Um, I think we did that, didn't we? Didn't we do that like months ago?
I think it was a long time ago. We might go revisit that because it's. I mean, we don't even know if the movie is like gonna happen just yet. Like we know they're working on a script, but we could definitely go back into it. But I do believe if you guys looked in our archives, you might find that episode. I think we did look at DCU's Titans a few months
Um, but yeah, I think he could definitely do Cyborg. I also thought I think he's a good age for like Batwing. There's two different Batwings. David Zavim was the first one when it was like Batman Inc. So I mean that could work, but I mean he would have to like put on an accent and shit like that. But then Luke Fox is the second Batwing. So
Right.
that could work. I think he's like a slightly better age because he's so young. Firestorm, I think would be good. If somebody mentioned Firestorm, I think that could like the Jason Rush version because I know Ronnie Raymond was the original, and then Firestorm Jason Rush became. I think he might have been like the second or third Firestorm.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then Aqualad could be good too. Like again, they're kind of it feels like they're going with the secondary heroes, and he's the second Aqualad. So I feel like they're gonna base this off of like the younger heroes that we're like kind of familiar with, all the newer ones, rather than like the old crew. Which personally I don't think is a bad idea. Because it's like we know Hal Jordan. I mean, for the most part. I mean, we got the Ryan Reynolds movie, which but like we know, obviously they're gonna keep like OG characters, like ones that don't have a secondary, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. But like if you have a secondary hero, might as well go for it, like Wally West,
Right.
John Stewart, that kind of
Well,
thing.
Antonio was suggesting Wally West. I think that could be a good pick. Yeah.
But yeah, like Aqualad is like this, like maybe Garth has become Tempest. Let's Jackson Hyde is then Aqualad. I mean, we're getting our fourth canonical Robin. Although Stephanie Brown might be canonical again, I don't know. It's a fucking mess at this point on what Robin is canonical. So we're getting like Damian Wayne. We've never gotten Damian Wayne in live action. While we've gotten the other three in live action, all terrible, but that's beside the point. We've gotten so many characters and so many like of like the old guard. Let's try to make the newer people that like general audiences might not be familiar with, like Wally West, like Jon Stewart, although less so with Jon Stewart because they know him from the animated show and a lot of people grew up with that. Same with Wally West. So like there's like what people know and what people don't know is like a whole rigmarole, and that's like a whole nother discussion for another day. But I would love to see like younger heroes that people are more familiar with that aren't the old guard. And I think we did the Bat Family as well, but
We did. Yeah, yeah.
I
But Justice
have
League Dark,
new ideas, but we'll see.
we can revisit it, and also Justice League Dark isn't something we have done before, so we can get that too. Temple, it's a good idea there. Jay Kelly saying he would be a better Wally than Static for sure. I mean, it depends on which direction they go in. I think it could work both ways. I personally, my favorite is Static Shock. That's why I put it in the graphic. But John, I think as far as like the options you suggested, like Aqualad would be a good way to go about it. Where we've already had Aquaman on screen for 2 feature films already, so maybe focusing a little more on the younger generation could
Yeah.
work. And then Firestorm, I think bringing him to the big screen for the first time would be fantastic. That would be
Mhm.
great. And as far as Batwing goes, that's a little out there. I don't know if that's not as likely. I don't think just yet, but
Yeah.
um,
In terms
Cyborg,
of Bat Family, because they
right?
want to focus on like the main people that they know. Again, we don't know the ages, but like in terms of the characters outside of their alter egos, like Dick Grayson, Maybe Jason Todd if he's alive. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Tim Drake, Barbara Gordon. Are maybe Kate Kane? She's kind of a little bit more well known, and then maybe a couple of like the people that aren't really well known, like
Yeah,
Cassandra Cain. She was in one movie, but it was barely the character, or Stephanie Brown. Those are like lesser known, and then they like they're gonna have like the main ones where like the Robins that became their own heroes and Batgirl, and then like maybe like a couple like weirder characters. But yeah, Batwing is definitely lower on the. Not saying he's a bad character. I like Luke Fox. Like I read the Detective Comics run for Rebirth, and I really like what they did with that there. And so I think that he would come, but like way later if they want to go for like really weird. Like they're not going to do like Harper Row, Bluebird, or like the Gotham and Gotham Girl or anything like that. Although with how much James Gunn has a huge boner for Tom King, we might get those guys sooner rather than later. Clayface being a hero, I don't know if we're going to get that. So obviously we'll see, but like I feel like we're going to get like the Robins as Nightwing, Red Hood, and Red Robin, or whatever name they choose.
yeah,
And then probably Batgirl because they're the most well known, and then
yeah,
maybe another, like maybe Spoiler, maybe Orphan, maybe Batwoman, maybe Signal, but nothing too crazy. I think we'll get like 4 or 5 like other Bat family members because he did promise the Bat family in hence why it's called Brave and the Bold and not just Batman again
right.
because it's about all of them. So
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of which, I think we are likely to go at a pace where we're not gonna get like 3 or 4 characters introduced all at once. So I
right.
think if you do go with somebody in the Bat family, I think Victor. I mean, and it may take a few years for that movie to come out anyway, so he can age up to the point where if he wanted to play like a Red Hood or something, you could probably see that by that time, like like by 2027 or 2028 or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
but Rhenzy Feliz, I think, is too good an actor, and he's done such a good job with the character that he already played in the Penguin that they should keep him around. Like, let's bring him in the DCU somehow. I mean, whether it's a Static Shock or Aqualad or Cyborg or Firestorm, or Wally West or White. Like, I would love to see any of those. I think as an actor, he deserves more attention from the world of DC. Miraculous, of course, you left us a comment on one of our recent videos with your review of the Penguin, saying the Penguin was phenomenal from start to finish. Creature Commandos is 7 episodes, so with 2 episodes dropping for the premiere, it will likely finish on January 9th. Can't wait for it. And I think that's fantastic. I think your full comment was can't wait for the Superman teaser at CCXP, which has been pretty much all but confirmed. Well, James Gunn's got the trailer on his hard drive, man. So we
And
could get that.
it might not be a finished trailer. He just says he has the trailer on his hard drive. I have a ton of videos on my hard drive that are not finished yet. So he might be just, cock teasing us again that he loves to do. So,
Yeah.
you know,
But we don't really want to know what all the videos you have on your hard drive. But like I see your point.
I never
Um,
download porn. Don't worry. Don't worry.
uh,
I only just watch it on the net. I don't download that shit. I don't want that shit on my computer.
Antonio saying something about a Charlize Theron was involved with the Aqualad movie on HBO. I don't know about that, but that we'll look into it. But Jake Hills, you were in the chat and you had a comment mentioning I believe Brainiac will be introduced in Superman. When I say introduced, I mean hinted at.
I
I
mean, I
think
hope so.
yeah, I think that's pretty feasible. I think that's
Okay, considering with what everything going on, like he's gonna get more in touch with his Krypton heritage, which was the original summary when it was announced. The most I think we'll get in terms of Brainiac, because I'm not gonna hold my breath, because even though I really wanted Brainiac for the main villain of Superman, um, I don't think we're gonna get that. And with that, on top of the fact, the most we're gonna get is probably just pointing a finger to like the destruction of Krypton and how they're going to use Brainiac as the reason why Krypton exploded. Because that was the that was like in newer iterations, Brainiac was the reason why. I don't think it was introduced by Jeff Johns in like the mid 2000s, like the Superman Brainiac Jeff Johns Gary Frank story. Um, but I do believe that like the most we'll get is like kind of like if you remember from the first Shazam movie where they were like,
Mhm.
oh look, and which was retconned by Black Adam because The Rock's ego is fucking enormous. Where they were showing like Black Adam, I initially gave him my powers, and look, he destroyed everything, and they had that like cool little like flashback with the dust and the light and whatever. I think they'll do that, but it'll be like a computer simulation, like, oh yes, Brainiac took Candor, and that caused Krypton to destabilize, and then eventually it exploded. So
Right.
I have a feeling that that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Like they'll just
You're
show
saying
that
like
and
brain
like, oh, we'll
on.
maybe get him in a future Superman movie or a
Exactly.
Superman team up movie, or hopefully not, but a Justice League movie. So
Yeah.
obviously we'll see.
Exactly. Well, I mean, then also Magical Sky Wizard. You left us a fun comment. Catman is obviously Marvel's Catman is obviously Black Panther. Come on, which I found to be funny because we were talking about where is this? The news of Denzel Washington potentially joining. I was like, it was interesting because that's where the Catman conversation had come up, and now, well, you know what? Denzel is going to be part of Black Panther 3. So,
Yeah.
um,
Although in terms of characterization, no, but like both the fact they're based around cats, that's pretty much the only similarity. Honestly, if we're comparing characters, um, I mean, I know Aquaman and Namor, but Aquaman and Black Panther kind of have a lot of similarities in terms of like, being kings of kingdoms and like being caught in between two worlds kind of thing. Yes, Namor is the more obvious one. Like literally, Aquaman is a ripoff of Namor, but I feel like as well, Black Panther is also, if we're comparing movies, like Aquaman and Black. I mean, people were saying that Aquaman ripped off Black Panther, so there's that too. So
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's similarities, but there's always been similarities, and with a lot of
yeah, with
heroes,
a lot of different characters, so it's nothing new.
it's neither here nor there. But Jose, you left us a comment which I don't know, man. Like Jonathan Majors should be cast as Martian Manhunter for the DCU. Where Jonathan Majors is right now with his reputation and with everything that happened, I personally don't think James Gunn or quite
No,
frankly, any major studio is going to go anywhere near him for quite some time to come. So
they're not
while
going to
I
touch him with a 39.5-foot pole. And
think,
I'm just going to say this in regards to Jonathan Majors. Look, we have a rebooted DC universe now. DCEU to DCU. We just got rid of Amber Turd and Ezra Miller. So can we please try to keep this new rebooted DC cinematic universe felon free? I would like to, let's not get Jonathan Majors for that. Let's just keep him, you know, away from this. Let's not try to get any felons, convicted felons, like mm,
yeah.
let's just keep them away from that. Like,
And Jay in the comments saying that he would like to see him like Jonathan Majors in the DCU, but not as Martian Manhunter. But again, like you said, John, I don't think we're gonna get that anytime soon because he's just got a lot of work to do before any big studio trusts him with any project. I mean, it's just a lot of reputational damage, and then his actions. It's just like you said, they're not gonna go anywhere near him for a long time to come.
and I
But
don't think he would be good for Martian Manhunter. That's
I don't
also
think
that fact.
I still think, like you said, if not, maybe Denzel, then maybe like Marshala Ali or like there's other good actors out there who can take on the role and do a really good job with it. But now we got to get into some of your comments from today's show that I've been collecting throughout this live show. So let's get into that. So Temple, you've been really active. This one we can keep this answer short. I think this is probably worth an entire episode on its own. But where is your top 5 list of comics, John?
I have no fucking idea. I have no clue. Like Jane, like I think New Frontier is up there. I think Justice is up there. I think Daredevil Yellow or Born Again might be up there. Um, maybe like Earth One, Superman, maybe something like that. I don't remember specifics. Like, I would have to like really think about that. But like, that's like kind of like a grab bag of stuff.
Right.
Like, I like the Warren Ellis run of Moon Knight. That was really good.
Mhm.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
The Watcher, by the way, suggesting one of the Scar guards for Martian Manhunter. That could be fun, like maybe like an Alexander Skarsgård. But I mean, it would depend on again what direction they're going with the character. But as far as that question goes,
Hmm.
we're gonna definitely, maybe that could be an episode all its own where we, or maybe something we do on Discord where we talk about the top 5 list of comics from John. But Hunter Iggy had a really wacky question. I just don't know where that came from. I'm just gonna put it on screen for 5 seconds, and then we're just gonna forget about it because the whole chat was like, "Please don't address it." So I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna stay away from that one." But Temple with another question. John and Dan, give us your top 5 comics lists first. He just was asking the same question twice. I mean, I'll tell you this much. I've really enjoyed reading Woman of Tomorrow. And I've got a bunch more comics that are on my list. But as far as giving you a top 5 off the top of my head, I'm going to struggle to do that. So, but we will again bring this topic to maybe a Discord discussion or maybe a future episode of the show. So definitely a good question from you, and we're going to keep that in mind. Derpy, who was like first in the chat today, he asked us, or he actually mentioned, hear me out, Emily Rudd for a DCU Batgirl. What do you think, John? Do you think Emily Rudd would be a good pick?
Maybe the thing is, I haven't seen her in anything, so I can't like. I'm sure she would be fine. Like if someone's recommending it, there's a basis for that, but I can't recommend. I can't be like yes, absolutely, or no, hell no, because I haven't seen her in anything, so I can't judge her acting or a performance based on her because I haven't seen anything. So I'm sorry,
Right.
like I can't confirm nor deny.
I mean, I think she was great in what was she was like the live action adaptation of an anime, right? Like that's really where she's known for. But like,
Yeah, One Piece.
right. One Piece. So, I mean, it would be interesting, but I mean, I don't know. Like that's she would be a good pick, I think, because as an actor, she's great, and obviously, we can't go wrong with talent. But would it would depend on the direction they're going with DC's Batgirl, and again, like how soon we get it introduced, and age wise, how it's gonna line up. Like, so then that will probably play a role in terms of the age profile. So,
Mhm.
but it's a good suggestion, Derpy. So like definitely a good shout there, and we'll see. I mean, we will see where we're even gonna get a Batgirl character in the DCU. Currently, there's doesn't seem to be any movie other than the Batman movie, which we don't know a ton about, where Batgirl can't even show up. So we'll see. But okay, Temple again with another comment. He's like, my most wanted one is the John Constantine HBO show. Who would y'all cast as John?
Dan Stevens.
And I can't. You know
Dan
what?
Stevens.
Done. Done. Just that's, what, just call it, sign and delivered. That's it. I can't think of anybody better. I was gonna think of a name, but you just beat me to it. Dan Stevens would be perfect. I think Temple, you got your John Constantine there. Bring Dan Stevens into the DCU. And then the last comment that we have got here is from Caleb Cohen. He's asking, what if they make an Arkham show and a Blackgate show? Blackgate can follow up on the Penguin's character, and a Catwoman series would be the obvious thing to do. So he's suggesting we get like up to 3 shows in the Matt Reeves universe. How many
I
of
don't
these?
know about that. I don't know about that. That might be a little bit too much. But like Blackgate could be interesting, but I think that might be a um I think that might be a little bit too I don't want to say boring because like I mean like Oz is like one of the greatest fucking TV shows ever made. So I don't think like obviously there's a lot of things you can like do in prison, but like the thing I would want to see is like Arkham, where all like the villains are, where like they're kind of shooting the shit, where like you would have like a TV series based on like Almost Got Him, the one of the most famous episodes from the animated series, where it's just like the villains shooting the shit, like being stuck in this place, not being able to leave, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But I don't know about a Blackgate show. Like I could see that as like maybe like a mini series, but I think I would love to see an Arkham show that's like more aligned with that because it's like I feel like there's more intrigue there in terms of the Batman, the Batman epic crime saga.
Right. I mean, I would be interested in seeing a Catwoman and Sofia Gigante sort of a team up, but beyond that, I don't know, man. Like Arkham, like they're still working on developing it, so maybe that Arkham show eventually does get made, whether it's part of the DCU or the Matt Reeves universe, we'll see. But hey, it's been another great show, guys. I mean, we went through so many comments today. We went through so many news stories, so many fan reactions to the Penguin. The fact that Batman could have shown up in the Penguin alongside Vic, the the missing persons poster that they put on social media, which is, it feels like totally savage. Denzel Washington potentially joining Black Panther 3. There's been so much news from the world of DC, of course. We got Creature Commandos debuting with 2 episodes in just a few weeks' time. So we're going to be here to talk about that. But tomorrow we're back with the Oh So Curious show. Today we did an earlier episode, but tomorrow we're back at an unusual later time in the night. And we're going to have a lot of DC news. We're going to have some Marvel stories to talk about. There are lots of new trailers to react to. Other movie news. We're going to see if we can review a couple of movies. And of course, as always, we'll have you guys in the chat, so we'll answer your questions and comments and fan theories as always. It's been great, of course. We've got so many of you guys in the chat, The Watcher, Temple, you got Jay in the chat. And it's just going to be fun to see how the Batman universe continues to evolve, how the DCU kicks off. We're like right at the tip, where right at the edge before you take the dive. Antonio in the chat, you had more Katna. We have so many of you guys. Derpy in the chat, Raja365. Hopefully I'm not Calum, of course, in the chat as well. And Hunter Iggy, Manolo, you guys are all
You're all amazing.
Yeah, and anybody whose name I might have missed, I apologize, but we really appreciate you. And of course, as always, we would love for you to hit the like button. It helps us out a ton. And of course, if you haven't already, then hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live with another show. Tomorrow, we're going to have Liz back on with us. It's going to be Liz, myself, and John with the Also Curious Times DCU Daily. So we're going to see you then. Until then, go out there, watch something DC related, and then come back.
Rewatch The Penguin. Do it.
The Penguin, just binge the whole thing now.
Watch Superman and Lois, guys. The ratings are in the gutter. This is the last season. Go watch Superman and Lois. It's so good. It's so good, guys. I know it's not Penguin levels, but it's amazing. Tyler Hoechlin is the best modern Superman. There, I said it.
And you know what? There's also the Harley Quinn show coming out next month too.
That.
So
okay, we're done for the day. Bye. Bye.
All right, on that, we'll see you guys on DCU Daily.